Hi friends and fellow bibliophiles, it's Kat. Welcome back to Kat's Novel Adventures. One of my favorite authors, Neil Gaiman, is quoted as saying, "A book is a dream that you hold in your hand." In today's video, I want to share with you some dreams that I discovered at my local Books A Million store. I felt it was finally time for me to do another book haul. I haven't done one in quite a while. In fact, I have a couple more to do, and I'm hoping that I can sprinkle them throughout the month of February and I can get myself caught up. I went to Books A Million on two separate occasions. The first evening I went with my son Andrew, and I was mainly looking for anything that was fairy tale, folk tale, and fable related. But I ended up not finding exactly what I wanted and came home with some books from the bargain section. I mean, you can't go wrong if you can get some really nice hardcover books at paperback prices. Actually, even less than some paperbacks, in my opinion. And then the second group of books were three books that I purchased just recently within the last few days so that I'll have them for some book clubs that I'm doing, as well as for another readathon that I want to do mainly in March, because I'm pretty full in February with everything on my TBR between Folklore February and all these other events that I want to participate in. So let's go ahead and get started. The first book I want to talk about is my new collection of fairy tales by Brothers Grimm. This is published by Flame Tree. Isn't it beautiful? I love this cover. It's very similar to my Edgar Allan Poe book that Andrew got me for my birthday, I believe it was. And my most expensive of the bargain books that I purchased, but I think it's a great deal because it's a brand new book, beautiful cover, and it's a chunker. So I'm pretty excited about this find for sure. The next book I discovered was Velvet Was the Night by Silvia Moreno Garcia. She is the author of Mexican Gothic, which I absolutely loved. It was a 5-star read for me. I read it with my book club back in August of 2021. So I was eager to get my hands on this. Look how beautiful this cover is. It is a mystery thriller, also considered historical fiction, takes place in Mexico in the 1970s. It's like a noir fiction type book. So, looks like it might be a good time. We'll see. I forgot to mention that Velvet Was the Night, as well as the next 4 books that I'm going to talk about, all cost me $5.97, which, well, $5.97 a piece, which I still think is a fabulous deal for hardcover books. The next 4 books are either middle grade or young adult, and the first one is called Never After, The 13th Fairy by Melissa de la Cruz. She's the author of the Descendants series, but this one is the first in the series called Chronicles of Never After. And it's basically about a character who comes out of a story that this young girl Philomena reads about in these fairy tale books that she reads. And so it's kind of like a little adventure of characters from a book come into the modern world. So I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. It kind of reminds me of the premise of Inkheart, which I really, really loved. Another middle grade book that's a first in a series is called A Small Zombie Problem by K.G. Campbell. And I believe this might be a debut series that he has written. But I'm excited about this because it's about zombies. It's supposed to be humorous. This would be perfect for me to read during Zombie Awareness Month in May. Another book that I picked up out of the bargain area is a book that I've already shared with you because it's on my Folklore February list, and that is Snow and Rose by Emily Winfield Martin. I love this cover, it's very pretty. This is a retelling of Snow White and Rose Red, which is a Brothers Grimm story, and I cannot wait to start reading this one for my Folklore February. And the last book that I found in the bargain section is actually an oldie but goodie. It is a book that I read back when I was in middle school, probably about the same age as the character Margaret, who's almost 12 years old. She's moving from New York City to a small town in New Jersey, and she wants to fit in, so she joins this secret club with a group of girls that she's met, and they're all talking about boys and bras and all those kind of things that you talk about when you're close to 12 years old. Is a YA book. It's a coming of age. It's called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. My childhood friend Readathon, who I grew up with, she lived a couple of doors down from me. She read this book and lent it to me, and I loved it. I just thought it was a fabulous book. And finally, I had another book in this group that I thought was from the bargain area, but it was not. I actually picked up the last book in the Small Spaces Quartet because I wanted to make sure I had the whole entire series, and I had it in hardcover, and that is Empty Smiles. I ended up getting a copy of this for me as well as for Kelsey, so that we both have a complete collection. But this is more adventures of Ollie and her friends, and it's basically them against the Smiling Man, but it takes place with a traveling carnival, which I think is going to be kind of neat and creepy. This is middle grade horror, but look at that cover. Ugh, creepy clowns. Clowns are not my favorite. They creep me out. Okay, so that was all of the books that I got on that first little excursion to Books A Million. My second excursion, I ran in and out basically to pick up 3 books that I need for 2 book clubs that I'm doing and a readathon. So the readathon that I want to participate in is Around the World in 80 Days. Miriam is one of the hosts for this readathon. It actually started on January 11th, but it will be going on through March, I think until the end of March. But it is by Jules Verne. I've never read anything by Jules Verne. And I picked up a paperback. It's a Signet Classics, and it only cost me $5.95, which I didn't think was too bad. I was hoping I could get a hardcover, but they did not have any in the store, so I'll be looking for that possibly when I go shopping at my next library sale. But this is basically about Phileas Fogg, who makes a wager to travel the world in 80 days, and he visits all kinds of wonderful countries. And the readathon is to read this book, and then if you want to do the bonus prompts, which is to read books from all of the countries that Phileas Fogg visits, you can do that as well, which I think is going to be fun. And I do have some picture books that I might use for the prompts that are from the different countries. The next book that I picked up is by Paul Tremblay. It is called The Cabin at the End of the World. I was hoping I could pick up a hard copy of this one as well. Amazon has a hardcover copy for like almost $50, and I was not going to pay that much money for a hardcover book, especially one that I have not read anything by the author. But this is the movie tie-in because they are, well, actually, the movie is already out. It was released on February the 3rd, and the movie is called Knock at the Cabin, and it's M. Night Shyamalan is who is made the film from this book. But it is kind of like an apocalyptic horror type story. Strangers come out of the woods where this child and parents are vacationing in this like remote area, and they've pretty much disconnected from the world while they're vacationing, and they don't really have any neighbors too close by. And when these strangers show up, the strangers need this family to help them make a decision that could impact the entire world. So I can't wait to read this. This is the book selection that my book club, Chills, Thrills, and Kills, chose for February. The last book that I picked up is by James Herriot. He is the author of All Creatures Great and Small. It is a warm and joyful memoir of the world's most beloved animal doctor. And I will be reading this, I'm going to try to read it anyway, for the Cozy Cottage Book Club that I belong to. It is kind of a chunker, so I'm hoping that I can get it in, or at least some of it in, prior to the book club meeting, which is at the end of February. Well, those are all of the books that I hauled from Books A Million. I think I picked up some pretty good titles, and I am looking forward to reading them, especially ones for my book clubs and readathons that I'm currently participating in for this month and in March. And I found out that there is a middle grade March readathon, so some of the middle grade books I can read, and I am really thinking I am gonna keep that zombie book for Zombie Awareness Month. Please let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books or are planning to read any of these books. I'd love to know. And in the meantime, stay amazing and be adventurous.